Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra. Well, the historic moment is done. We have seen that the statue of Lord Ram has been consecrated in the historic ceremony in Ayodhya. The idol of Lord Ram has been unveiled at the Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir as well. In fact, the eyes of the 51-inch idol Lord Ram were, uncovered, and also this idol has been carved by a Mysuru-based sculptor Arun Yogi Raj. It portrays Lord Ram as a 5-year-old child standing on a lotus as well. So a very, very historic moment underway. We've actually seen the entire environment in the country get immersed with a lot of spiritual energy at this point in time as well, amidst the Ram Mandir's consecration ceremony. In fact, with this, we've also seen Uttar Pradesh's city is now turning into a real estate boom of sorts as well, as Ayodhya now undergoes a renaissance marked by cultural resurgence, unprecedented development taking place, and attracting a flurry of tourists from all across the country and even the world as well. Now, at this point in time, it is very important for us investors to really think of whether this actually marks an opportunity for us investors to really look at an investing opportunity in a hub which is turning out to be a religious tourism destination as Ayodhya. And to help us really understand more insights on this, I'm now joined by a very special guest on the show. Mr. Gulam Zia, Senior Executive Director at Knight Frank India, now is joining in with me. Mr. Zia, welcome to Business Today Television. So that's the exact, question that's in mind of a lot of people, as everybody's eyes are now set on Ayodhya. They are looking at a transformation that the city has gone through over the last couple of years. And with the consecration ceremony now done, we will see the temple opening up for the public. And there are reports that suggest that over the next 3-4 years, there is an estimate that on an everyday basis, about 3 to 4 lakh visitors could be visiting Ayodhya. Tell us, what does it really mean for the entire real estate space in Ayodhya? And does it mean that there is an emerging opportunity for investors at large?
Well, great opportunity. The religious tourism as a concept is something which will see a sea change. This is one of those globally top destinations that is emerging into. And obviously, that will give lots of opportunities to investors of all kinds. Absolutely, the commoners like you and I, to the big funds and sovereign authorities, etc., etc. So there are opportunities everywhere. So when I look at some numbers around, I think I'm told about 70 odd thousand crore has been committed for improvement in infrastructure of Ayodhya. Well, that is just a start. The way I look at it, if you're talking real estate alone, it's going to be a very unique real estate. It's not something which many of us think about, that I will buy a second home and give it on rent, or buy a shop and give it on rent, etc. This is going to be way different, because here the driver industry is going to be tourism. So it is like, whenever, as you spoke about, a couple of lakh per day, I'm looking at some numbers. I guess I'm told somewhere that in next couple of years, next month or so, we are expecting about 3 million tourists arriving in the city. And these numbers are mind-boggling. And for that, obviously, not just hospitality, but then the trickle effect will come all over. Like those tourists who will go to for the darshan, etc., will obviously would want to make this journey memorable. So they will obviously buy a lot of those memorabilia, etc. So even retailing is expected to open up. But this will also be a very different kind of retailing, because typically when we look at the malls, we have a lot of things which are not going to be present here. Like, for example, F&B will be of a very unique nature. You will have a kind of meal that will be available here. And that is something which will create a different opportunity. And we need to understand that better. And then obviously the believers would know it much better than what many of us would want to even guess. But then opportunities are going to be immense, as I said, with so many people coming in. Even housing, I'm told the state government has already set aside some 1,200 acres as a special township. That is going to open up a lot of typical real estate opportunities as well, where I would want to perhaps buy an apartment and put it on rent all through. Or maybe many of us come together, buy a whole building and get an operator to give it for renting it out to the to the pilgrims who are coming in for special days or even all through the year. So opportunities wise, as I said, this is going to be a treasure of opportunities staring at us right now.
All right, treasure of opportunities for investors staring at us at this point in time. So the timing perhaps may be right to look at exploring what kind of investment opportunities exist for investors, and which is why we are having this conversation at this point in time to really help you understand what kind of opportunities and how should you be really moving forward in case you're already thinking about investing in Ayodhya. So let's start off by understanding the prices at this point in time, Mr. Zia. We're already looking at, 3 years down the line when we saw the Shilanyas happen. And from that time till now, of course, a lot of changes have already happened in Ayodhya. There are some reports that are talking about staggering numbers of increase in land prices already that has taken place. So tell us, is it just a boom for the time being? Are we going to see elevated land prices even going forward? And how should one really even approach in case one needs to buy land there?
Well, the progression of prices and focusing on land values, the increases. There are once again a lot of these estimates because most of these estimates are not supported by solid numbers or solid registration documents to assess it. But then I'm told about 8 to 10 times increase has already happened in the values of land in and around Ayodhya. Now, that is, I would want to say that this is something which is not, it was unique because this was the time when you were actually looking at starting new ventures for investments, etc. Now, I would want to believe not many such opportunities will be available henceforth. I'm sure many of them have been cornered, and especially for the normal investors, the commoners like you and I and most of us, buying land is in any case a very, very tough option. So that
Yes.
is where the big shots or the upper end of the society, when they have started were taking positions on buying their land parcels, big celebrities have already done that. Well, that has already happened, and that is exactly was the reason why the values shot up from X to 9 to 10x. But going forward, the difficulty will be to find a good land. This city is going through a huge transformation. The authorities are coming up with new urban plans, etc. So it's also a bit risky. You buying a particular land parcel and tomorrow realizing that development potential of that has changed it from what you wanted
Yes.
to be to a different thing altogether. And that is going to be a risk. However, as I said, the overall master planning that when it comes up, that will be the right time for us to look at, even if you're looking at land. Otherwise, I would still advise investors to wait in the wings and once that whole township that the government is talking about, where 1,200 odd acres will come up for development as a real estate piece. That is where there will be a lot of opportunities to buy apartments, or even if it is hospitality ventures or retail ventures, shops or hotels, etc. Lot of options will come up. But in the interim, I would want to believe it's a time when the prices have shot up through the roof. Going forward, not much of opportunities as I see. If you're
Yeah.
only waiting for the prices to go up, here onwards we'll have to wait for the actual asset to get constructed. And a built asset is where the future of investment will lie.
Absolutely. So that gives us a very clear indication of whether land is something that one should be really looking at, because right now the prices have shot up through the roof, as you did point out, and probably that is not feasible for common citizens. Next comes the opportunities when one would really want to buy a house or a second home, maybe for retirement, maybe for investment purpose, maybe make it as a home that one could really rent out for pilgrims also, maybe make it as a homestay as well, which is already picking up as a trend in the city as well. How would you really look at opportunities over there?
Very, I would say, a fantastic opportunity stage, that the era that we are getting into. However, availability of such assets is going to be extremely difficult to find. Two reasons. One, this is an ancient city, so you have a lot of heritage or very, very old developments. Now, heritage structures, can you really replan them or redevelop them, is a big concern. So again, a lot depends on the government policies on maintaining or retaining the heritage and how are they looking at development of the overall city. In absence of that, I would once again go back to the weight that I spoke about, that unless new assets are under construction, the opportunities will be very, very limited. You going out and buying a shop tomorrow in the close vicinity of the sanctum and realize that tomorrow it has gone into road widening, etc. Big risk. So I would still say that right now, the exact stature of most of these properties that are available to be bought is not to be taken very lightly. You need to be very, very clear on your legal titles, your
Correct.
planning authority permissions, etc., etc. Only then would I recommend your viewers to get into these investments. Otherwise, wait for proper and planned development to come up where you will take the positions and buy such assets. Maybe there your returns will not be very high, but your assured returns by way of rental returns, etc., where whether it's a homestay or otherwise, you will have many, many opportunities coming up, because the opportunity, the tourism in this area is going to boom. It is just about starting.
Okay, the tourism is just going to boom. Perhaps right now is not the time to go ahead and take that risk, but over a period of time, a lot of projects will come up, and then one should be really looking at some of the opportunities here. So, give us more granular details. Have you already seen some of the private players talking about maybe building a township, building some projects over there when one can take part over here? How should one really go about starting to explore? Because this is the right time and one can do the research and then plan for in the future where exactly one should be looking at, specifically when I'm talking about the residential places, and then we will talk about commercial later on.
Yeah, sure. So, like if I have to give an example, one prominent developer from Mumbai, the house of Abhinandan Lodha, has already started selling their township, and reputed one in last couple of years. They have done many such projects in western side of the country, in Maharashtra, Goa, etc. So, good opportunity there. Lot of such options will come up in the future. But as of now, not many have started yet. So as I said,
Yes.
it is just about scratching the surface. So the house of Abhinandan Lodha is the first one to launch their project officially, and it is available for many of the investors to start taking positions in.
Okay. What about commercial opportunities? Will they also present a huge amount of investing opportunity in Ayodhya for Indian investors?
Well, when we talk about commercial, typically commercial asset class is spread into two different categories. One is offices and the other is retail. Both are
Yes.
covered under commercial asset class. And as I said, the second one, retail, will see fabulous opportunities, because all strata of society are expected to come over here, right from the absolute upper end all over the world, right to the commoners at the bottom pyramid. So here the opportunities for retailing are going to be immense. As I said, everybody, when they're coming for a journey of lifetime over here for the darshan, would want to make it memorable for the rest of their lives. So typically consumption, buying a few things, and I have seen in many other places, like for example, in Saudi, where Muslims go to Mecca, gold is one of the best commodities. So many people actually buy gold because they want to retain that piece of gold for the rest of their life. So a
Yeah.
lot of such markets, the gold souks, etc., are expected to come up. So retailing is going to be one of the best asset classes to look up to as far as investment is concerned. Now, that leaves aside offices, where offices will be very, very rare, because when you compare it with, say, the biggest office city of the country, which is Bangalore, where about 250 to 300 million square feet of office, and every year 50, 60 million are added every year. In comparison, this will be very small, where you will have offices, but these offices will be of such people who will have their businesses in Ayodhya. And those offices will be very far and few. So I'm not too bullish about commercial real estate, but retail is going to be absolutely a big business for in future for many of the investors to bet their money upon.
Okay, so help our viewers probably compare for themselves why they should be really looking at Ayodhya as a destination. Say, an investor has already been looking at perhaps investing in a reputed real estate, residential real estate project, in one of the metro cities, or maybe a commercial, property in the metro cities. The way that they have been thinking about the kind of return that they can get on the investment, looking at the current price as well that they are paying, how is Ayodhya going to be different in terms of the current prices and the expectation on returns on both residential as well as commercial properties?
Well, to start with, I would want to highlight that the returns will not be just monetary in nature. A lot will be emotional return as well. For example, when you're buying, say, one of the celebrities who's born, perhaps bought a big villa or a mansion very close to the center, Now, he or she may visit Ayodhya maybe once or twice a year. But rest of the year, this particular mansion or a palace will be available for his or her guests to come when they're visiting, they'll be staying over here. So this will be that kind of hospitality, which may not be really captured in numbers alone. It is not going to be your rate of returns alone that you will be looking at, but also the emotional connect. And this is exactly how it happens. As I said, few examples to talk about. I'm aware of instances where around the holy city of Mecca, the room nights in hospitality per room rates are going upwards of 150 to 200,000, 2 lakh rupees a room night. And that is going to be giving you a flip to your hospitality industry in a really big way. There is no end to it, because once you have this a very unique opportunity, once you have absolutely the uber rich also coming over here, they will need that kind of an investment or that kind of accommodation and comfort also to come by, and that will come for a price. So on the other side, when you perhaps will buy, somebody like you and I may buy an apartment and put it up for renting, and these rentings will be, say, weekly basis or daily basis, so people will come. So you will need to have some a management contract with a local individual who will run this asset on everyday basis and see that it is rented every day. But these are opportunities, and these models exist, as I said, globally in one or two of these places like Mecca or Vatican. You have such opportunities galore. And that is where we are just about starting. So these opportunities, I said, will be, at least in residential, I'm looking at minimum 6 to 9% of rental return. And especially on those special occasions, as I said, sky is the limit. If people are paying 2 lakh rupees per night in a five-star hotel,
Yeah.
obviously that's an opportunity available here in India as well. So whether that or retailing, well, sky is the limit to start with.
Okay, 6 to 9% you said is on a normal day is the kind of a rental return that one can really expect. What about retail?
As I said, retail, typically your retail is getting about 8 to 9% of rental return. I want to believe here, if you are putting up very strategic retailing, because once again, there are absolute highest of the end of fashion designers available in those holy cities across the world. And I would want to believe that they would want to be settling over here as well. So not just a typical a bottom pyramid brand, but also absolutely superlative brands like a Jimmy Choo's, etc. I'm expecting all of them also to show, evince lot of interest in Ayodhya. So with that happening, retail is also going to have a very, very different, opening up a new chapter altogether. And the returns there would also go up, shoot up. Now, as far as rental returns are concerned, let's also understand that when today we're talking about 9%, 10% return, tomorrow when these assets start selling, like capital values come in and it also shoots up. So your rental value or the rental return will be in that range only. That means that at a certain point of time, a property which you bought for 1 crore and getting a return of say 1 lakh per month, you will sell to somebody else for a crore and a half. That rental return will shrink, but the capital value will continue to go up. So when you look at the capital value appreciation and rental yield together, you will see a different perspective of a growth achievable in the times to come in Ayodhya.
Fair enough. So now help our viewers really identify 4 or 5 things to note before, looking at investment opportunities in Ayodhya. What are the key things to remember, before they go ahead and start their research? What are the things they have to keep in mind?
Well, the easiest entry will be through such kind of platforms I spoke about. Say somebody like Abhinandan Lodha, when they are developing a township, everything is going to be above board, that you don't have to worry. Just make your payment and go ahead. But on the extreme other end is when you will be buying some property on the ground from some old family staying over there for ages. Lot of issues will be coming up. First of all, legal issues. There could be multiple families, and over a period of decades, the families would have expanded. So if the father is giving permission, maybe the sons may not give, etc. So legal complications will be a lot to worry about. So very, very, very clear focus has to be on the titles of the land. And ultimately, to me, heritage is going to be one key concern to focus upon. As I spoke about earlier, if your property that you're buying is in a heritage corridor or itself is a protected property, then redevelopment opportunities on that will be very, very limited. So as I said, these are a few things we have to be extremely cautious about. A, land titles, B, heritage issues, and C, local authorities, plannings, that they're changing any plans, etc. So the master plans, local development plans, these three things are going to be extremely crucial for you to take any investment decision in this city.
Okay, so that's going to be essential for all the investors to keep in mind before going ahead and exploring. Have you identified any particular localities that should be on the radar of investors whenever the news comes? These are the kind of localities that they should be targeting in Ayodhya.
Well, Sakshi, that's an issue right now. The times
Mm.
are so turbulent, so dynamic. Focusing on a particular opportunity, may perhaps that opportunity will be here now and gone in the next moment. It's
Mm.
that kind of a absolute heated market right now. So I would refrain from even identifying a location, forget about an asset class or a property, because the markets are extremely dynamic, and at least I don't want to guide somebody and then later on proven wrong on that.
Okay, fair enough. That's a fair point to remember. You already talked to us about the kind of insights you have in terms of both residential and retail opportunities that may exist going forward from here. The way one has to really verify the title and ownership before deciding to take a bet. Of course, property prices are dynamic at this point in time, and the trends to follow in the few years or months to come will give us a better clarity of how to really look at, of course, established. Players coming in terms of private players setting up their township is the easiest way how one can be really looking at participating in the economic boom in Ayodhya, and the real estate story as well is what you have talked to us about as well. Talk to us about the outlook over the next 5-10 years. How do you really see Ayodhya's real estate story really shaping up?
Well, the biggest concern today that we spoke about earlier are the extremely highly appreciated land values. We are expecting land values to cool down a bit. But
Okay.
on the other side, the built assets are going to be the flavor of the day. So going forward, the a few of these developers who are keenly interested in this locality, and a few who are already developing things are going to be the center of attention, where such opportunities will be driving the real estate in times to come. And where, in that case, as I said, it's going to be a very, very steady growth in opportunities, both in terms of returns and availabilities of options, etc., will continue to grow. Because as we say right now, we are just about starting, just about
Yeah.
scratching the surface. Going forward, opportunities will be created every now and then. You will have huge development, because what is starting with, say, about a million or two of tourist inflow every week or something. I know in a few of those key locations, in specific occasions, in those holy cities across the world, you have seen about 40 to 50 million tourists on a particular day in that city, which is going to be a possibility. So going forward, very, very keenly watching this space, we shall see kind of development which will be unforeseen or may not ever happen in the world again.
Wow, that's an exceptional thought process to have, really. Any comparison that investors can draw from other spiritual or religious destinations in India, the kind of growth that the early investors have got there, to give us a sense of what are we really looking at?
Well, unfortunately, most of these the spiritual cities, the important cities, religious important cities, have been very old. We haven't seen any new addition in a long time. So whether it is whatever the biggest, say, Jagannath Puri, etc., if I can think of, these are locations which are very, very archaic in terms of new developments. You still don't see much. So if you are in Puri, you don't have much of an opportunity of late. You have to get closer to, say, Bhubaneswar, etc. So these are the kind of examples I would cite, that there is no comparable. In India, at least, we don't see any of these comparables where I could put up that in last 20-30 years a good growth would have happened on the back of this. But on the same side, if I cite an example of this Nasik, where we have the famous the Sai temple. There recently, with the opening up of an expressway, which is the Mumbai Nagpur expressway, which directly connects to this locality, has been a fabulous opportunity. The Sai temple and the vicinity around that is now getting a fresh boom because of infrastructure improvement. So that is something which is already happening in Ayodhya. Your infrastructure is right now falling in place, and then the development is coming. In stark contrast to many other places where infrastructure lagged seriously and development happened first. Here, you have infrastructure coming up, and then the development should follow. So it's a very unique case where I am very bullish about the growth potential, where it will be incomparable. You'll not have seen any such thing, at least in India for sure.
Okay, so unique opportunity, probably very, very rare opportunity that we are looking at in terms of the growth within religious and spiritual tourism that Ayodhya could be looking at in the months and years to follow. And within that, in case you are a potential investor, this may be the time for you to get back with your financial advisor, look into the research of the space, and also look at potential growth development projects that may be coming in that may actually offer you a great opportunity to be a part of the growth story in Ayodhya as well. Well, with that, thanks a lot, Mr. Zia, for being with us and sharing with us such wonderful insights on the historical important day that we are getting connected with. Good to have you with us, and here's wishing you a great year to follow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.